Original post, March 21, 2024. For context. Coming into the new year, I had no idea my wife had been at the bare minimum having an emotional affair with a co-worker. On New Year's Eve, before I found out about this, she came home and acted extremely cold toward me and our kids. She was angry. Earlier on that evening she asked if she could go out to have one drink with a female co-worker, whom I knew and trusted. I told her that was cool, but that the kids were staying up for the ball drop, so as long as she could be back to celebrate with them, I was fine with it. Well, she ended up getting off of work at 11:30 and barely had enough time to get home. After the ball drop, she cried and cried. I asked her what was wrong, and she said she got invited to her friend's house to have drinks with them. All three of them women, all married. I had no issue. I said, "Look, I'm not sure what's wrong and why you're crying about this. That's fine. You deserve a girls' night out every once in a while. I don't mind watching the kids. Just go." I put the kids to bed, she left, and then about 3 hours later. So 3 a.m. I tried to contact her. No answer. I waited about 15 minutes. Call her again. No answer. I called her friend who she's supposed to be with. No answer. She then texts me back 5 minutes later and says, "Yeah. I'm still coming home tonight. We're still drinking." Never in our 6 years of marriage had I felt a gut feeling that something else was going on, but that night it all hit me. I went through our phone records and found another number I was unfamiliar with that she had been in contact with all night, ignoring my calls, and texting that number in between. She had also been texting this number for a 3-month period daily. I never suspected that she would be texting another dude while right beside me watching family movies either. As times had shown. How I didn't see this, I have no idea. Maybe she had this individual listed as mom in her phone. I don't know. I had never gotten this vibe or feeling our entire marriage. I was blindsided by it. Anyway, I confront her about it through text with the proof like an idiot. She speeds home, deletes everything on her phone. No way of getting the backups restored. No way of ever knowing she did not meet up with this guy. Upon finding this out, I immediately told her I wanted a divorce. It was at this point she began getting violent with me. Talking shit about everything I had been doing to keep us financially stable. The 18-hour workdays that kept a roof over our heads. She told me that I needed to leave even though I pay rent and both our kids are asleep. I refused. We slept in separate rooms that night, and the next day she tried to act like nothing even happened. Claiming that she remembered we'd fought but couldn't remember what it was about. So, I showed her the phone records even though I'm positive she was just trying to pull some crap. She confesses who the individual was and says they flirted a lot but never met up. I told her if that was true, she'd have no issues restoring the text messages she deleted, at which point it was confirmed she deleted everything and deleted her last backup. She also saved a backup after they were deleted the night everything went to shit. Since then, she's tried hard to convince me they never did anything and never saw each other aside from work. I keep finding bits and pieces of things that don't make sense. Chunks of texts deleted from her friends' messages around that time. Pictures on her Google Drive from that night, where she was with who she said she was, deleted from her phone for what reason? The most damning evidence I have is for a 2-hour period on New Year's Eve. They stopped texting each other, then randomly started texting again at around 3 a.m. when I started calling and got that feeling. My gut tells me she left her friend's place, went to his place and went back. Or, she went straight to his place from our place then went to her friend's when she found out I was calling them. There are revealing pictures of herself she never sent me also on her Google Drive taken on Snapchat. She's since given me all her attention. She initiates intimacy tenfold. The texting stopped. She shows me everything on her Snapchat and even downloads her data to show me she's not hitting other people up. I'm seeing the side of her I haven't seen since we were married all those years ago. But I can't help but trust my gut in demanding a divorce. I feel like she's kept things from me. Not knowing for sure is killing me inside. My parents know all of this and keep pressuring me to work it out and not dwell. My brothers are saying fuck that, get a divorce. Am I wrong in getting a divorce? Keep in mind the dates. It's now been over 4 months since this occurred. I'm positive she cut the individual completely out. But I still can't get over the not 100% knowing, and my gut tells me she's still lying. Edit: if some of this is confusing, ask and I will clarify. I will also give context where needed. Also, sorry for the way this was written. I'm aware there is some jumping back and forth, etc. I'm just scatterbrained right now. It's honestly getting to me more now than the night I found out. It just keeps building. I feel stupid. Edit 2. Also, forgot to add this, the individual in question is an employee she manages. As in, she is his direct supervisor. I've heard there are greater legal consequences for this, but I have no idea. For clarification, the individual in question is actually morbidly obese. I'm by no means fit. But I'm not fat either. Went back and looked at the timestamps for the pictures that were deleted of her and her friends that night. On Google Drive, before that 2-hour period of no texting, during, and after there were several pictures taken with verified timestamps on them. As in they cannot be changed on Google Drive. Whether or not she has a friend that's tech-savvy and was able to do that within the 10 minutes it took her to get home upon confronting, I don't know. Is this possible? It's also worth adding I come from a family that has thoroughly convinced one of my cousins that she needs to stay in her marriage even when her husband became solely reliant on her, got addicted to coke, is still addicted to coke and physically abused her. All because by golly no one in this family has ever gotten a divorce, so essentially doing so I would get disowned by my parents, my sister, all my cousins, all my aunts, all my uncles. But would still have the support of my 2 brothers. Update 1, currently on morning break at work. Been reading through the comments. I have off tomorrow all day, so I will be heavily weighing my options when I get some time to myself tomorrow. May not update tomorrow. But I'll update you all when I can. Thank you for all the input, positive and negative. The best thing I can do right now is just get through the work week. Get my kids from daycare and be mentally present for them. I've been ignoring her since last night and she's been snapping and calling me all morning to see what's wrong. Relevant comments. Comment 1. Did she come home acting extremely cold or did she work until 11? OP, silence. Our daughter ran up to her for a hug and she started crying. She then got really irritated when our daughter asked her for a drink. Something that still doesn't sit right with me. She started yelling at her saying, "Mommy needs some F-word space." When I tell you all, there was literally no sign of all this crap until that. She hid everything extremely well. Also, for everyone saying what they are about the 2-hour period. Yes. That was my thought. I went back through the Google Drive at everything that was removed from her phone. There were pictures and selfies taken with her friends at the place she was supposed to be during the time period before it and after it. I doubt she's tech-savvy enough to edit timestamps on Google Drive once everything's backed up. This isn't to say they never met up. This isn't to say she doesn't know how to do that. And it still doesn't make a difference with everything she did. Like I said. Weighing options tomorrow. Reaching out to a lawyer tomorrow. Update 1. March 25, 2024. My wife had an emotional affair at the bare minimum and may have cheated. Here is the update. I sit here typing this out on my morning break while listening to Tuesdays Gone by Leonard Skinner. After a long day of considering my options, on Friday I sat my wife down on Friday evening when she got off work and I had out the kids to bed. As soon as I brought up that my trust in her was completely gone, she immediately became argumentative and essentially stated I thought we had left this in the past. You never trusted me, did you? I responded with, even if you didn't do anything physical or met up with him outside of work, you'll never let me see those text messages. You'll never pull the Snapchat data. She responded with, you're right. Marriage is based off trust, and if you don't trust me then maybe we ought to call it quits. The irony in this is that I worked 18 to 19-hour days for the past few years, barely being able to do anything I wanted to do in my life because I was supporting our children, getting them to bed, cleaning the house all the time, doing all the cooking, barely even getting enough sleep. Probably took years off my life just from the stress. She on New Year's Eve said screw the kids, screw you, and essentially went out to party with her friends, all the while ignoring calls from me and our daughter asking where she was, while also responding to her at bare minimum emotional affair partner. Not getting into all the details so as to not repeat myself between this and the update. Long story short. In my state we have to be separated for a year before a divorce can be finalized. When I agreed with her that we should start separating and that I had already been in contact with a lawyer, she freaked out on me. She begged me not to go through with it. But alas. Next Friday I will be dropping her off at her parents' a few hours away. The kids will be staying with me for now with the help of one of my brothers. I told her there was only one way I would put this off for now. That was pull the data, pull the texts. Prove your case. She looked down at the ground. One more time. And told me that's a violation of her privacy. We haven't spoken since. For now, for my kids. I got to keep on keeping on. Relevant comments. Comment 1. You do realize that your attorney can subpoena her phone records and texts, right? If you believe there was cheating, have your lawyer get all those messages. Then you'll know and she'll be out of luck. OP, definitely going to happen. I've already been in contact with one, and in the state I live in, if there was infidelity she essentially loses any choice in the matter of where the kids stay. Comment 2. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I've been in a similar situation, he wouldn't show me the texts. Spent about a half hour clearing them and then let me see his phone. Lol. OP, for me it's pretty black and white. I'm 99% sure she physically cheated. I'd love to just believe her and move on, but I can't. Not only did she delete all texts between them, she deleted all texts from multiple friends and coworkers from that same time as well. But left the ones from prior and after. As far as I'm concerned, her friends were in on it and so was anyone else she deleted texts from. Story 2, would I be the asshole for refusing to host my cousin's wedding reception at my house? Original post, February 26, 2024. I 24 female got married very recently to my husband 28 male. About a year before we got married, we purchased our first home. We did extensive renovations on the house and put a lot of thought, time, care and money into it. It is our dream home, sanctuary. A forever home we don't plan to let go of. My cousin 33 female recently got engaged and is going to get married this year. She and I are very different in personality, so we have never been close. Our families however, could not be closer, her dad and mine are brothers. Some background, she and her husband 33 male both currently live with their respective parents. She was pursuing a nursing degree but left the program. She is not working right now. Her husband works. I don't know how much he makes but it's an average income job. I mention this because they want to throw a big, extravagant wedding. I have my personal opinion about this, but I also understand that my opinion doesn't matter, it's their wedding, their life. I have never voiced anything other than a congratulations on the engagement. The issue is when there is an expectation that family should help them achieve this. I eloped with my husband, and while we didn't have a public wedding, we did throw an intimate reception on our new property. We live in a very quiet, scenic rural area on a small acreage. It is private and thoughtfully landscaped. We have a natural pond, and our property is surrounded by the woods. We chose not to disturb the land around us too much so some of the property line is in the woods. All this to say, it's not a lot of space as it seems when I say acreage. And also, to say, without a doubt, it made for a very nice outdoor venue. I understand the appeal, but the key difference is we had a small wedding reception. My cousin wants a big, 80-plus guest one. Still, I decided to hear my cousin out. I didn't know at the time how big she wanted her reception to be. I was placed under the impression that it would be like ours. I invited my cousin over, and she and I talked about how I set up my reception. I gave her kind of an outline she could use, including all the catering, decor, florists. I made her a meticulous package on Google Docs and shared it with her. She seemed to agree with everything I was saying with a smile. I told her my husband is away for 3 weeks and I will be gone for a week as well, and if she wants, she is welcome to do some planning, just give me a heads up. I always give my mom access to my home just in case, especially since both my husband and I travel a lot. My mom texted me if my cousin can come in with someone to plan seating arrangements outside and I told her as long as she is present to oversee, they can come. That's when I learned through my mom that she's planning an 80-plus guest wedding and extending the reception into our house, which I explicitly said in person and in my Google Docs is off limits. My mom told her she cannot tour with the organizer the inside of the home, that the owners have not given permission. This upset my cousin. When the organizers left, she became very upset and stormed out on bad terms. Her mother then called my mother to complain ruthlessly about me. I just got back today, and I'm told I'm being accused of being spoiled, selfish, and small-hearted. None of these accusations feel warranted. I talked to my husband about what happened, and he told me the bride and her family are being disrespectful toward me, and as such, they do not deserve to host in our home altogether. He said he would revoke the invitation himself. I told him to let me think about it. Would it be wrong to go back on my word and tell her I can host her reception? It will cause her problems, but it's not my problem. This is where I feel a bit assholey. Edit, they are now offering to cut down the guest list, but I feel like the trust is no longer there, and their sudden animosity towards me makes me hesitant to put my home and self-respect at risk just to appease extended family members. I don't believe they will follow through with their promises or honor the boundaries I've set. I feel like I was misled under false pretenses into agreeing in the first place. Relevant comment. Comment 1, not the asshole. And in the discussions, did she ever mention who would be responsible for the cleanup? I'm sure they'd leave it for you and your husband. The cleanup alone is enough to not let the reception in your house. OP, you're so right. I feel like she didn't even read my document because once I agreed she had maybe this secret plan to do what she wants. Update 1, March 2, 2024. I was encouraged to make an update. I'm not sure how updates are done, If it's supposed to be a new post or not, so apologies if I did it wrong, I'm just copying what I saw someone else do. Some clarification of the venue. We have a carriage house next to our main house. In between the two buildings is a courtyard. The reception would have been held in this courtyard, as well as in the carriage house for an indoor-outdoor feel. The weather where we live is not an issue. My husband was even going to string market lights between the two buildings. We have a very large, finished bathroom in the carriage house that would have been for the guests. I was also going to utilize the mudroom of the main house, which has another bathroom for guests with easy access from the courtyard. The mudroom has good separation from the main part of the house, mostly by large breezeway. We have a long drive that leads to the house, so parking would not have been an issue either. All this to say, the setup would have been perfect for a small reception. We would have thoughtfully taken care of it all. We had no issues when my husband and I hosted our own wedding reception. I love hosting and went into this genuinely happy to host, but it was always based on the understanding that my cousin's reception would be the same scale as ours. She never corrected me when I explained capacity. I sent her my notes and stuff from my reception. I think she always had the intention of securing my home as a venue and then doing what she wanted with it, hoping to get it done in my absence. When she realized my mom would supervise her visit to my house while I was away, her plan fell apart and landed us where it did. After my mom caught my cousin trying to arrange seating for guests way over the approved capacity, my cousin's family started to slander me for shutting her ideas down. I got called a lot of things I am absolutely not. Their behavior toward me and their entitlement over our home angered my husband, who was still away. I talked it over with him and we decided I should not host my cousin's reception. My cousin and her family tried to bargain with my mother, their attempt to bypass my no. They even tried to hide their phone numbers to trick my mom into answering. My cousin and her family began bullying my poor mother to convince me to accept a smaller guest list, still over capacity. All this time they went for my mother. My phone stayed silent. I called my cousin to stop harassing my mother, because I am firm in my decision to no longer host her. The trust is not there, and their behavior makes me not want to host them. She blew up on me during this conversation, expressing that I will be single-handedly botching the wedding if I back out of providing her a reception venue, and that I am cruel for not being able to do this one thing for her during a once-in-a-lifetime milestone. She told me to just please see things from my perspective and think about it. I told my husband I am tired of the cousin and her family not taking my no for an answer. I have been respectfully direct, but they keep trying to persuade me and it's very exhausting. I know they are only saying things to get me to say yes, but they will likely not honor any of it. He said he will take care of it. He called my cousin and told her we will not be hosting her, and her disrespect towards me will also not be tolerated. He told her I was always clear on capacity and the tantrum she and her family are throwing is because they hope to trick me into allowing a bigger reception than I approved. For the failure of that she only has herself to blame. She started crying and asked my husband if she could throw a smaller reception at the approved capacity. My husband said we are way past negotiation, he will not allow it, not even if I ask him to. He told my cousin not to contact me or my mother about this request again because he will be the one they have to answer to from now on. They haven't called or texted, but my cousin tried to DM me on Instagram and my husband sent her a voice note from my account in the chat. So, I think she will stop now. Relevant comments. Comment 1, not the asshole. You know, I'm not always fond of guys being placed in positions where we have to play the mean scary man role, but I won't deny it's definitely effective when you've got a bunch of cowardly bitches who talk mad shit until someone stands up out of their chair at an average height of a male individual and speaks a little above indoor volume. He had a figurative big stick and he used it to perfection. OP, I absolutely agree. I try not to use my husband until I absolutely have to and wish I could have handled it entirely on my own, but it wasn't working with these people. The experience has definitely made me reflect on my assertiveness though, and how I can improve. Especially when it's quite clear my cousin and her family were counting on me being someone they could get their way with and manipulate. Comment 2, what did your uncle say about his wife and daughter? Your dad has to be ticked. OP, the uncle is very passive because the aunt, my cousin's mom, wears the pants. He can't keep a handle on his daughter or wife, so I don't think he is to blame. If anything, he probably tried to talk to them. My dad passed away 2 years ago, so it's just me and my mom. Comment 3, yeah. And OP hasn't mentioned anything about if they were giving them money to cover the cost of hosting them or whether they were expected to cover that too. OP, sorry for not including that. The groom and bride's family were paying for everything except for a few things my husband kindly offered to pay for. One of these was hiring a valet to handle parking, but that was something he wanted to do to protect our property, but I know he would have generously offered cover to help the event run smoothly. This was supposed to be a 40 ppl max event. She tried to bring in over double that. Update 2, March 21, 2024. This will be my final update regarding this issue. I will keep it short. My cousin ended up having her wedding reception at a different relative's property. I did not attend, and neither did my husband. This is because during the time between us saying no, and her still looking for an alternative venue, she made an extremely racist remark about my husband. Along with that, in a group chat screenshot that was sent to me, she called him, and these are exact quotes, controlling a tall motherfucking tyrant and misogynist fucker. All of this because my husband was zero tolerance about her entitled behavior and would not let her go around him. I decided to boycott the wedding. I did not want to celebrate with her. I've also gone no contact with her family. During all this, only my uncle, her father, apologized for my cousin's bridezilla behavior. My cousin and her mother have continued to remain firm on the fact that I am an ungenerous and cold-hearted person who doesn't help family. I have a small heart basically. I have urged my mom to do the same, go no contact, but I will leave it up to her own discretion. About 110 people showed up to my cousin's reception party. From what I hear, people were peeing in the bushes and stuff. Lots of littering. Some property damage. And someone injured themselves enough to warrant an ER trip, and lighting firecrackers. I think some parking violations also happened for which there are fines. I think that's all. End of update. I will never understand the whole family thing. Like if some random person you saw a few times a year wanted to use your property for a wedding and you said no, no one would get upset. But if you happen to be distantly related to them, all of a sudden you're a horrible person. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day and I will see you in the next video.